Hello everyone, this is KrenZy giving you a shoutcast in Game 4 in a series between DIMAGA and DuckloadRa. Here on Krevas, we have DuckloadRa spawning as the blue Protoss player this time around. Meanwhile, DIMAGA spawning as the red Zerg. Decided to change up their colors on me. Hopefully I will not get too confused. Now we'll see how these players try to play this matchup. Shakura's Plateau, a very interesting matchup as well, as the series is now 2-1 in favor of Duckload, and we'll see whether or not Duckload can take this game, or if DIMAGA will be able to even up the score. Now, DIMAGA is sitting off over here on the bottom right-hand side of the map, Krevas, a map that is rather large. It does take a bit of time to scout out and figure out where your opponent actually is. There you can see the probe now scouting out in the clockwise direction, and it'll be quite some time before he figures out where his opponent is, as the probe now just going to be wandering up this ramp here. There is this very easy to take second base up on the high ground, and there's more reason for DIMAGA to take this than taking this expansion now, just because this is a rich Vespene geyser. If he goes for a fast hatchery, he could be able to get that. He can get up that rich Vespene geyser up just that much earlier, and then be able to get those metabolic boosted things, as drones mining off of that do get a little bit more gas per trip. A gateway now coming in, so a standard play coming in from DuckloadRa this time. We may see another building added on over here. I'm not 100% sure how DuckloadRa would actually be able to get off a wall in on this particular set of rocks, and the debris is also only 1,000 hit points with only 1 armor. DIMAGA opening up with a fast hatchery this time. So a fast hatchery coming into play. We are getting that spawning pool down over here, and we should be getting up this extractor in just a moment. As soon as that extractor is up, 3 drones should just be able to suicide their way in. A quick overlord now flying into position. We are going to get that Cybernex core. We are going to have a zealot stand right there, as the probe now still wandering around will finally come across his opponent's starting location. But that probe's days are pretty much numbered. It needs to come up here. It needs to see. Oh, and this is going to grow up to be an extractor already. The hatchery about 30 seconds away from being completed. Extractor only needs 30 seconds as well. The spawning pool will get completed as that probe walks up that ramp, takes a look around, sees the hatchery, sees the extractor, and now maybe backing off. Cybernex core is now up and running as well. We are getting up that first stalker. The overlord now gonna perhaps sit off over here and try to gain as much sight as possible. Drones quickly coming in here as well. So this is going to be returning 6 gas per trip instead of the standard 4. And that should definitely help DIMAGA, as DIMAGA is probably sitting around 168 gas a minute, significantly faster or more gas than just these 3 drones here. So very, very nice play. Meanwhile, no Nexus coming in yet from DuckloadRa. So DuckloadRa may be going into a 1 base play. We'll see what he tries to go for. There are a lot of simulators in play, so we could be getting a decent number of, I believe, sentries. And as soon as those sentries are in play, he may be able to try to either warp in a Nexus, or he could just warp in a bunch of gateways behind it. And now going into quick blink. So the Twilight Council now coming online. You can see that the Stalker is wandering around this probe over here. May be able to set up a proxy pylon down over here or over here, as well as that Stalker now going to be rushing inside this base as well. There are 5 Zerglings here. 1 Stalker at the edge of the creep. And now here we go. The Zerglings now going after that poor Stalker there. The Stalker does run significantly faster, or the same speed right now, as the metabolic boost is not quite done. But the Dark Shrine is now being added, so a very, very early Dark Shrine here on Krevas. The only problem right now is that the hatchery is already upgrading to Tier 2, and that means an Overseer may come into play rather soon. Metabolic boost still about 15 seconds away, 20 seconds away from being completed. Proxy pylon now set up for when that Dark Shrine does get operational. And you can see that the Zealot and the Stalker are now just holding position. The Stalker going to be able to start picking apart at some of those Zerglings on the low ground there, as we are now going into gateways. We will have 3 gateways for perhaps 3 Dark Templars. And whether or not it will be enough, that is going to be the key question. Not quite sure why these 3 drones have decided to take a hiatus right next to this extractor. And now finally coming into position there. We are now also going into a Spire as well. We do have a fair amount of gas saved up by DIMAGA. DIMAGA should be able to get what's it called very easily, get that Overseer very, very easily, as the Dark Templars are now warping in. How successful will this Dark Templar rush be? We are now 7 minutes into this game. We are getting one Spore Crawler up on the front, and now Dark Templars simply passing by here, and the Dark Templar is getting stopped by the Zerglings and getting stopped in their track. We are now getting an Overseer, as well as that Queen now taking a lot of damage, being forced to run away and unable to really do so, as now the Zerglings are now going after. In comes some Queens. The Queen's going to get some damage in. Now the Spore Crawler may get taken down as well. That's going to go down as a third Dark Templar now makes its way in. The Queens are now backing up. The Zerglings are now engaging as well. The Queens do have a large amount of hit points, so they are able to save up and absorb up a lot of that damage there, as an Overseer is now getting into position. You can see that we are sitting on about 600 gas now. This Queen now pushing its way out, as another hatchery being positioned over here. So this is an odd place for that one particular hatchery. It could get another Rich Vespene Geyser up, which will help, as it doesn't need nearly as many drones in order to get a lot of harvesters now. And we'll see how DuckloadRa really wants to respond. He does have DIMAGA now has 7 Mutalisks being trained up, and also currently supply blocked at 60 over 60. Mutalisks are now out and about, and they look to do a lot of damage. 6 Mutalisks now taking to the skies. There are some sentries on the ground. The sentries do have decent damage, and we'll see whether or not the Mutalisks were going to get any damage over here. They're now going to simply fly in. The Mutalisks are going to be able to one-shot probes. So now flying in, 1 probe down, 2 probes down. Now going after some pylons instead, but unable to really chase after any of those units, as the sentries are finally coming over to engage. Another probe now being destroyed, as the Mutalisks moving everywhere and getting everywhere that they want to be. It looks like these Mutalisks, 7 Mutalisks, not quite that many yet, but 7 Mutalisks just taking to the skies and going after probe after probe. 1 probe, another probe now down, just getting a lot of probes and a lot of chain damage there, and now finally being forced to back off. Zerglings may be coming in for a swarm. There is one changeling there at that high ground, as well as the Mutalisks once again put in a bit more pressure. The sentries are now fighting back. 1 Mutalisk will get taken down, but the Zerglings are still being added on more and more. There is still that changeling up on that high ground. It's been sitting there for quite some time. The Mutalisks looking to get more damage, and will perhaps be able to move in along this side over here. Stalkers are in position as well. The Stalkers should be able to get some damage onto those Mutalisks. Yeah, just enough there, as that Mutalisk finally able to fly away. Blink now being added, level 1 flyer attack also being added. The changeling now going to get destroyed right now, as the Zerglings going to perhaps try to swarm by, and now in they come. The Zerglings able to swarm and run and go after their targets, and now Zealot after Zealot going to get destroyed. We can see that Dark Templars, or Stalkers are now being warped in, as we can see a lot of Mutalisks just coming in, destroying all of those Stalkers, and there's the GG by DuckloadRa. So we are now even in this best of 5 series. Stay tuned for game 5 between DIMAGA and DuckloadRa here. And I hope you guys enjoyed game 4 here on Krevas.